you might catch it live as I'm broadcasting on YouTube, but this episode will drop on Spreaker later on. Alright, so for tonight, what I want to do is a quick reading of a very good dark flash fiction piece called All the Time the Screaming by Austin Malone. Now, this particular story is one of my favorites because in a very quick and, tight framework, it delivers a powerful punch of multiple layers. Let me get hydrated. Now, for those who don't know, Dead Man's Tome publishes horror and dark fiction. You can find the website deadmanstome.net and read this story for yourself if you want to. It's called All the Time the Screaming by Austin Malone. This one, I see a future with it being placed in one of the anthologies later on. Anyway, let's get into it. All the Time the Screaming. The angler rises, opens his cupboard. He gathers the biscuits and the jerky, wraps them in a scarf of pale leather, places the bundle in his krill, and retrieves his rod from beside the door. Rod and krill in hand, he emerges into the perpetual twilight of the fishing grounds. He looks neither left nor right, does not acknowledge his fellow fishermen, ignores the row of identical huts that dot the riverbank. In silence, with single-minded purpose, he strides to his designated place. The black waters suck at the bank, their hushed susurrations inaudible beneath the tormented shrieks that rend the thick air. All the time, the screaming. A low mutter rumbles his stomach. He retrieves a strip of jerky, chewing as he unspools his reel. The flavor is bland, the texture fibrous. It brings him no joy. He is hungry. It is food. His teeth grind away at it as his hands secure the hook. It is an ugly thing, heavy, multi-pronged, bristling with barbed spikes. It is perfect. It feeds him and clothes him, and he's fond of it. He is not fond of the next piece of equipment. None of the fishermen are. The angler swallows as he withdraws the line, draws the lure. His face contorts with disgust. He squeezes his eyelids shut, guides the bobble onto the hook, and the thing explodes with radiance. Even with his eyes closed, the light pulses blood red behind his eyelids, searing his flesh. Whimpering, he pulls his arm back and whips it forward, and the plop of the hook landing on the water is followed by the cool relief of the lure sinking into the depths. He sighs. Lost my place. He sighs, eases his eyes open, and waits. He does not wait long. He never waits long. The rod bucks in his hand. He counts silently to 10, and then reels the line in slowly, steadily. Black water runs and rivets down the fishing line as it emerges. The top of the hook appears first, followed by the lure. Its glow muted now. Then, like pale, wriggling worms, His catch begins to rise into view, skewered by the bottommost row of hooks. He hauls on the line, dragging the thing up out of the river, and the wriggling appendages resolve into fingers. The attached hand, pierced by the barbed spikes, more emerges. A thick arm, muscles, corded, heavy shoulders, a broad chest, meaty thighs. Then the thing's head lolls forward, and its scream joins the cacophony. It dangles above the riverbank, thrashing, water slick hair plastered to its scalp, above 2 wide eyes and an even wider mouth. And all the time, the screaming. The angler holds the line aloft with one hand, reaches for the knife at his belt. The noise will cease soon. Then there will be fresh meat to prepare, bone meal to grind. The knife goes in, tugs down. The thing's final cry fades into a burbling whimper. It falls silent, and all around him, the screaming continues. All the time, the screaming. Like I said, it's a very short, to-the-point piece. It's more eerie than outright horror. It builds this atmosphere, this setting. Some might say that there's some needless detail, like what's the point of the jerky and all that. But for me, I see that, and I don't know about you, but for me, I see that, and I go, well, no, that adds to it. That adds to the grim. That adds to this gritty atmosphere. But what is this? I mean, for me, the way I look at it, it's a metaphor. You know, I spoke with the author of this piece to see if, I was curious. I was like, what, is this a anti-meat pro-vegan thing? Is this a statement about the fishing life and, what we do? Because in this story, it's clearly a human being that's being fished out from the water. Human beings, I should say. But there's another possibility, and it's not that. Though I could see how one could come to that conclusion. But remember the boatman. And there you go. Remember the boatman. Was it Greek mythology? You see similar types, similar forms manifest or in different folklore. Very common. So I could see how this could be, well, a creative way of looking at the passing of one life to the next. Passing from the living to the whatever happens, if anything happens, For all we know, this could be what happens. You die and you get fished out from the water of life. And you join, you join some sort of like neither world, like some sort of Beetlejuice. And all the time, the screaming. Like I said, it's short. No, not sweet, but short, right to the point, and it builds. Someone could easily add on to this, for inspiration, but you don't really need to. See, going back to the part with the jerky, someone could say that paragraph could be gone and nothing, you lose nothing. No. You get a little bit more information about this boatman. He doesn't get any joy from what he does. Well, no joy from the jerky. That's what he eats, right? Now, this way of life, that's what feeds him. That's what keeps his, that's pretty much his occupation. So you know right there is something he does time and time again. So he is the boatman. You know what's interesting is when this stuff happens in real life. That's even more interesting. Human body parts found in rivers, lakes, in the ocean, fished out. It happens like there's a news article here. What September 29th, 2017 in Michigan. Lansing, Michigan. Human body parts were discovered in Grand River on August 12th. The body parts were found submerged in river at Columbia and Waverly Road. They were discovered when volunteers were pulling trash and debris from the river. So this isn't like one of those Pokemon Go things. Besides that game is dead. Right? Who plays that? No one. Though I thought I heard they're supposed to bring that back, but what the fuck? The Capital Area Dive Team then fished out a container of remains. Wow. It happens more often than you think. Especially disposing of bodies. That's something to think about, whenever you're enjoying your time on a boat or whatever, going down a river or on a lake. In that water, while you're having fun, guzzling beer, maybe, doing whatever you're doing, fishing, drinking beer, having a good time. Beneath those waters, man, there's a whole other story.